Are you fed up looking at other photographers' work and thinking that yours doesn't just quite make the grade? Well, that could be down to one thing, and that's composition. And as the video is called, composition is everything. Hello and welcome to this week's video. As the introduction said, we're going to look at composition today. And to do that, I thought I'd bring you somewhere a little bit special, because today we're at Turnberry, which is just south of Ayrshire, and I'm sure you'll agree it's quite the stunning location. So let's see what shots we can find, and let's look at different rules of composition to see how we can get the most out of such a beautiful day. So composition, what's so important about it? Well, as you know, there's this constant debate over whether you need new cameras, new lenses. Is it gear that makes a photographer good? And in my humble opinion, I don't believe that's the case. I think the fundamental building block of a good photograph is using good compositional techniques. And in this video, we're going to look at 3 or 4 different ways to do that. And we're going to start with the rule of thirds. You might notice from this little video clip at the moment that I am already using the rule of thirds. I'm not standing in the centre of the frame, and I'm giving myself enough space out here for your eye to have a look to see what's behind me, which creates a little bit of interest and intrigue. And we're going to use that in photography as well. So let's go and take a few shots and see what we get. So let's try another one with the rule of thirds. Unfortunately, the light has totally left us at the moment. There's a huge bank of cloud coming over here. It's very high and it's quite slow moving, but I'm hopeful that it might get out the road before the sunset happens. Anyway, let's have a look at this. Now what I find really helps is if you take the lens cap off the front of the camera. Right. And again, what you'll see here is I'm getting as low as I can because it gives me a nice little bit of foreground interest. The grass is nice and soft, and I'm now using the rule of thirds. So I'm sending the lighthouse off to the right hand side on the intersection of the lines. A good exposure on there, and we'll take the photograph. Now I'm going to expose down a little bit, try and get a bit more drama in the sky. And again, I'm going to overexpose a little bit for the foreground. Ideally, you'd want to use a tripod for this, especially if you're going to try and exposure blend afterwards. Now, I've mentioned exposure blending in my previous video and in this one, but it's basically when you take a dark image, a medium image and a bright image, and you use the darkest parts of the sky, you use the lightest parts of the foreground or whatever's the darkest part of your image, and you blend them all together in Lightroom or Photoshop to use the best parts of all 3 images. If you'd like to see a tutorial on that, just let me know in the comments below and I'll make a video on that. But that's what I'm trying to do just now. I've got a lovely swirl in the sky here just now. So for all you golfers out there, I also have the flag on the green of Turnberry Golf Club. So again, decently composed image. And as with everything, always check your photos are sharp before you move on to the next one. And that one is pin sharp. Excellent. So I don't know whether to wait here for a little bit more. Light's getting a little bit darker, but that's only because of the clouds. And there's so much more to see. There was a couple of birds flying about. That's maybe a little bit greedy. And let's see if we can get a little bird come into the shot. This is not good for my old man back. Oh, there's a bird. Did we get it? Let's try again. Let's try again. Oh, would you believe we caught it right in the middle of the frame? That's some sort of duckage. There we go. We might have caught that with the rule of thirds as well. Oh, wings up and everything. What kind of bird is that? Oh, it's a lesser known seagull. Right, let's move on to the next part and see what we can get. And just to prove that this works with your mobile phone, again I'm using the rule of thirds, focusing in on my image. Take 1, take 2. There you go. I'll put that up on the screen for you as well, just so you can see that when you're out with your mobile phone, you don't need thousands of pounds worth of gear. Just a good idea of how to compose a good image. So another technique we're going to talk about is framing. Now, framing sounds as if we've already talked about that, but if you can frame your subject with things round about the edge of your scene, it can draw the viewer's eye in through that frame and put more focus on the image itself. So again, we're going to use the lighthouse as an example here, and I'm going to set up because I've got some lovely yellow flowers just sitting in front of me. Falls away in the cliff and then it builds back up into the lighthouse. So if I can frame that properly, it's going to look fantastic. So I'm framing the lower half. This time it's going to be a bit of a hero shot. So I'm putting the lighthouse smack bang in the middle. The bottom half is a little bit of a frame and the sky is framing the other half. Let's see how that looks. I'm going to try and get in a little bit closer without breaking my legs. That's a decent frame on that. Watch the rabbit holes and don't break your leg. Oh look, I'm still in focus, hi. Okay, so the game's afoot now. The clouds and the sun are starting to do something that looks as if it might be a little bit spectacular, but there's still a way to go until the sun's low enough in the sky. I've got that really tough decision. Do I give up, go look for other photographs? Do I see it out and hopefully capture one good image? The sun is starting to come out from underneath the clouds. There is a lovely bank of clouds right above the lighthouse, and if they start to light up, this could be one of my favourite images of the year. So I'm going to stick it out. I might lose the rest of the day, and I apologise that I don't have many photographs other than this one subject. But I think it's done adequately well at explaining the different types of compositional techniques that there are. And hopefully it's given you some food for thought about not just pointing the camera, taking the image and hoping for the best. Take a bit of time. I've now been here for nearly 2 hours and I've only taken photographs of the one thing. Okay, from different angles, but I'm trying to find the image that's really going to be the one that might make it into next year's calendar. There you are, guys. Turns out that for once in this video, it did what it potentially promised to do, and I don't even think it's finished yet. Sun hasn't hit the horizon yet, and there's a chance that this band of clouds above the lighthouse might still go on fire. So I've been slightly distracted from the purpose of this week's video, but I will get back to it because I'll do some more shooting in the morning. But in the meantime, I need to take more photographs. Good morning everyone, and welcome back to the same video. You might have seen from the end of the previous part that things just got a little bit manic, in a good way, because the light was just simply the best light I've seen this year when I've been out with a camera. I'm hopeful that I've got some really good shots I'm hopeful that I've used some of the compositional techniques that we've talked about in this video, but I'm a little bit behind schedule. Leading lines are exactly what you would think they are. They are somewhere in the frame where it draws the eye from the top, the bottom, the side, and draws a line into the middle of the frame. Most importantly, it draws a line to the subject that you're trying to track. As you can see at the moment, I have I want to say sheep, but it's got horns. Oh, not horns. Anyway, not the most inspiring photograph, but again, it shows you exactly what we're talking about when we deal with leading lines. As with everything in photography, the more you do it, the better you get at it. So try looking for leading lines in your shots when you're out, because they won't always be as obvious as a road or a path. Sometimes you need to look for walls, you need to look for, you know, indentations in the sand. It could be something at a crop field where the tractor's lines are going up the middle. Once you start to see them though, they start to become more apparent, and it really helps to frame your photograph and focus the viewer's eye into the middle of the frame and not having it bouncing about and then eventually moving on to the next image. So this is a great example of a leading line. I've used a road, it's coming all the way from the bottom of the frame into the middle of the image, and that's where I am. So hopefully you're looking at me. You might not be listening to me, but you're looking at me, and it gives you a great idea of what I'm talking about. So look for things like this when you're out with your camera next, and bear in mind what I said, it might not be quite as obvious as just being a road, it could be something else. So we've covered a lot over the last 24 hours. We've looked at rule of thirds, we've looked at leading lines, we've looked at how to frame your image. I'll put some examples of all of these up during and at the end of the video. And if you've got any questions about them, please just drop me a note in the comments below. So I'm hoping that you're starting to agree that composition is everything. Take your time. Last night was a great example. Instead of going out and making this full video and taking lots of different photographs, looking at all of these different components, I had one opportunity and fantastic light to get a potential portfolio image of Turnberry Lighthouse. And I spent 2 or 3 hours just trying to capture that one image that I was looking for. Well, it's been a fantastic 24 hours. Lovely wee night in the tent box overnight. It was great to catch the sunset, quick nap, and then wake up and try and get the morning light as well. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope you've managed to learn something. And if you have, please give me a thumbs up. And it would be great if you would like to subscribe to the channel. We're now sitting at 770 subscribers, and we've only got 230 to go, so you could be one of them. So please, come along for the ride, because next week we're going to look at another area of photography that should hopefully help your game. Thanks for watching. See you next week.